Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the books I read between July 28th and August 2nd. First up, I read Escape from Aleppo by N.H. Senzai, and I gave this book 4 stars. So in this book, we follow Nadia, whose family has had to flee their home due to the bombing in Syria. Nadia ends up separated from her family, and we end up following her journey as she tries to work her way back to them, while attempting to stay safe in the war zone that Syria has become. So this book shines a light at some of the stuff that is actually going on in Syria or has been going on in Syria in the last decade or so. Because this book depicts scenes in 2010, which is kind of when the uprising started, which then led to the bombings that were happening in Syria in this book. It was quite interesting to see the difference between the Nadia who had just turned 12 and had no idea what was coming, and the Nadia who is used to Syria being a war zone. I really enjoyed Nadia's journey and the characters that she meets along the way. I think this book does a good job of making you feel like you're there with Nadia and all of the craziness that is going on as she tries to get back to her family and her worry that due to circumstances she won't be able to. The reason this didn't get 5 stars is because I thought the ending was a bit abrupt. I was expecting there to be more, and it left quite open-ended for me. I wanted a few more chapters at the end to kind of tie things up. I think it would have been 4.5, 5 stars if I had gotten those chapters, depending on how much I enjoyed the way things wrapped up. Regardless, this is a great book and is definitely eye-opening, as there were so many things in this book that I had no idea about, and I can't imagine the struggle people in Syria have had to go through. And like I said, I think Nadia's journey really gives a good look, at least into a small part of what life must be like for some people in Syria. Next up, I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, and as this is one of my 5-star predictions, I won't be telling you my rating at this point. You will have to wait for my 5-star prediction wrap-up video for that. In this book, we're following 2 friends, Poppy and Alex, who are kind of polar opposites. They don't really seem to have anything in common, and yet a very strong friendship develops between the two. Every summer, the 2 of them go on a vacation. It's become like an annual event. Then 2 years ago, something happened that ruined it, and they haven't really spoken since. Poppy is currently feeling stuck, and the last time she remembers being truly happy was on that last vacation with Alex before everything went wrong. So she thinks if she can just convince Alex to go on one more vacation, it'll somehow make everything better. And when Alex actually agrees, she has 1 week to kind of fix what went wrong and bring Alex back into her life. I definitely enjoyed the book, but I'm not going to tell you how much I enjoyed it until my 5-star prediction wrap-up, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Next up, I read The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. So this is a thriller, so I'm going to try to keep the details at a minimum because I know a lot of people like to go into thrillers blind. And basically, in this book, we're following Hannah, whose husband has disappeared. But before he does, he manages to get Hannah a note that just says protect her, and Hannah assumes that this note is referring to her husband's 16-year-old daughter, Bailey. And that is all I'm going to tell you. That's the basic bare minimum details about what this thriller is about. I really enjoyed this book. There were lots of twists and turns, some of which I called, and others of which I did not see coming. I read this all in one sitting. I could not put it down, and that is always a good sign for me with a thriller. If you've hooked me from pretty much the get-go, I will read you until you're done. I can definitely see myself potentially rereading this in the future when the details have faded a little bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and thought it was really fast-paced and had some interesting twists and turns, and would definitely be willing to pick up more from Laura Dave in the future. Next up, I read Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I gave this book 4 stars. In this book, we're following 4 siblings in 1983 who throw an epic party every year. We have Nina, the oldest, who is a surfer and supermodel. Jay, who is also a surfer, while his brother Hud is his personal photographer. And then the youngest, Kit. They are also the children of a famous singer. This party has become a tradition, though it started before the kids kind of got famous in their own right. so it has definitely grown over the years. This year's party may be a bit different because each of the siblings kind of has something going on leading into this party, and it gives the party a different vibe for each of them this year. By morning, the house will have burned down, but before that, this party gets out of control in ways the siblings could have never foreseen. So I wasn't as into this as Taylor Jenkins Reid's other books. This one didn't hook me as much. It also has a bit of back and forth with the timeline, as we have what I'm going to call present day, which is 1983, with the siblings throwing this party. But then we also flash back to their parents meeting and falling in love, and them being born and how they grew up to become the people that we're seeing in 1983. It's kind of broken down in sections, so we have 1 p.m. the day of the party, 2 p.m. the day of the party, right through till morning. And so it's kind of broken up into hourly little sections, and we get to see what's happening each hour of the party, or the day of the party before the party starts. I went into this book expecting certain things, and then those things didn't play out, and I definitely think that is why I didn't enjoy this book as much as I thought I was going to. I almost think if I had gone into this book with less information, I would have liked it more. Because, like I said, I was expecting certain things from it, and when I didn't get them, I was kind of disappointed and let down. So it is possible if down the line I were to reread this, I might rank it higher than I did upon first read, because I would be going into it with completely different expectations. Either way, I still really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoy Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, so I will definitely be picking up more from her in the future. And lastly, I'm going to group these two together because they're kind of companion novels or part of the same series or something like that, and that's George and Rick. And I'm not going to refer to this as George after that, because I saw a tweet put out by the author that said if they could change the name of this book to Melissa or Melissa's Story, it would be more accurate. So from here on out, I'm going to call this Melissa's Story, because that is specifically the title that the author mentions in the tweet. I will insert a picture of the tweet so you can see what I'm talking about, and I will link it in the description below. I gave both of these books 5 stars. In Melissa's Story, we're following Melissa, who wants to play Charlotte in her school's production of Charlotte's Web. But her teacher says she can't because to everyone but Melissa, she appears to be a boy. But Melissa knows that despite what anyone else thinks, she is really a girl. And with the help of her friend Kelly, sets out to play Charlotte no matter what anyone thinks. So I really enjoyed getting to see Melissa's journey and seeing how attached she got to Charlotte and how unfair she thought it was that she couldn't play Charlotte. And at the start of the book, nobody knows Melissa's a girl but Melissa. And it's interesting to see how Kelly is supportive of Melissa wanting to play Charlotte, even though Kelly perceives Melissa to be a boy. She doesn't understand why Melissa's gender should matter when she's playing a character on stage. And I love how supportive Kelly is in that regard, even though she doesn't understand the full reasoning behind why Melissa is so upset. I think this is a great look at a child being so sure that they know who they are, even if other people don't, and trying to deal with all of the things that come with that, and struggling to figure out how to exist in a society who doesn't necessarily see you the way you see yourself, and having to figure out how she wants to deal with her classmates and her teacher and her friends and her family when it comes to saying, but this is who I am. I really, really enjoyed Melissa's story and getting to see her journey throughout the book. So in Rick, we're following a character we met in Melissa's story named Rick. And I think this is like a few years after Melissa's story. And Rick is starting middle school, and he is friends with Jeff. And Jeff is a bit of a bully and a jerk, but he treats Rick pretty decently, so Rick kind of lets his behavior to others slide. After starting middle school, Rick realizes that girls are becoming a much bigger topic, as Jeff can't stop talking about them, and even Rick's dad is questioning him about cute girls he may have met at school. When this is brought up, it just makes Rick uncomfortable. He honestly has never really given it much thought. Shortly after school starts, he sees posters for a club called the Rainbow Spectrum and decides to check it out. At this meeting, he ends up really questioning himself and learning some things about the LGBTQ plus community, and it really makes him start to question his own identity and wonder if there is a reason he doesn't like girls. I really enjoyed getting to see Rick's journey of self-discovery. I liked that part of this book is Rick starts going to spend time with his grandfather once a week, and he really bonds with his grandfather, and I love his relationship with his grandfather and how it influences his relationships and his own self-discovery and the questions he's asking himself. I loved getting to see Rick's journey and getting to see him struggle with liking the people he's met in the rainbow spectrum, but seeing his friend Jeff be a very big jerk to these people, and knowing that if Jeff knew he was there, Jeff might not continue to be nice with him and have to struggle with, he's my friend, but I know what he's doing is wrong, and what do I do about that? It's so fascinating to see Rick struggle with all of that at the same time, and I just really enjoyed the way Alex Gino wrote Rick's journey, and I hope we get more books about characters from Melissa's story and Rick, because I would love to continue to see Melissa and Rick, because Melissa is in Rick's story, and continue to see their journeys, even if they're in the background of somebody else's story. So these are the books I've read recently. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them in the comments section below. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a teddy bear emoji, like this video, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!